Howdy folks, welcome back to the Black Sheep Meadow. This week we're going to discuss some trees that we're planting on the homestead. We're in the middle of pulling up into the middle of fall now. Evening temperatures are getting quite cool. We've been able to run the fire pit a few nights. But nonetheless, it is time to start putting trees in the ground if you're wanting trees on your homestead. So this past week, me and Amber picked up a couple of trees from a local TSC, a couple apple trees, and a peach tree. For our locations on the peach trees, or on the apple trees, we decided we're going to put them up real close to the house or the homestead. One of my main reasons for that was we didn't want a problem with critters once the trees start to produce fruit. Obviously, deer, raccoons, possums, you name it, they're all going to be on the fruit trees. We have a couple of native or wild plum trees on the property as well. There's actually an orchard that was maintained at one point in time we're going to bring back to life as well. So I'm going to get these in the ground. I want to show you a few details on these trees if I can get y'all to come in right quick. All right, so what's interesting here is most apple trees need multiple trees for pollination. This particular variety is an Anna apple, and you can see right here on the tag it actually says it's self-pollinating. It's highly productive with large, sweet-tasting fruit. So nonetheless, we're going to get these in the ground. I'm going to show you some fertilizer tips and some actually the whole preparation for putting the tree in the ground to begin with. So let's get started on that. All right, so we got our hole dug, and a notable point on this is whenever you're going to plant a tree or anything like this, this is obviously, this tree spent its entire life so far inside this container. When you go to put it in the ground, you want your hole 3 to 4 times the size of what this container is. And the reason for that is the roots in this container are going to need to go out and start to pick up moisture and nutrients out of the soil. So if it's really hard compact, like this soil is extremely packed, the roots are not going to stand a chance at, flourishing out. So 3 to 4 times the size of the container that you're planting. My next thing, we picked up some fruit tree fertilizer. And I'm going to say this is probably about 7 to 8 gallons worth of soil volume. And they want 1 pound of this for every 4 gallons. So we have about half of what we need for this tree, which is fine. We're going to top it off with some wood chips as well. All right, you want to come in? The camera doesn't want to get it because there's a shadow down in the hole, but that's fine. So we have our fertilizer down at the bottom, and it's an organic fertilizer. It's actually a pretty mild fertilizer. But that being said, I don't want to burn the tree roots if there is any hot spots in that fertilizer. So I got the fertilizer down. I'm going to come back with some wood chips. This is out of our wood chipper. I'm going to put the wood chips on top of the fertilizer. Just a very light layer, not a lot. And if the tree roots want to get to it, they will. We're going to get back to our bucket. Let me go ahead and cut this bucket off. I want to be very careful removing the tree from the bucket not to damage any of the roots. And as you can see, we're actually probably going to put just a little bit of dirt in there to get some of that and get soft soil in there too. Like I said, breaking up that soil out of the hard packed ground is going to give the roots the best chance at surviving. A little bit more in there. Get some of the softer stuff. All right, somewhere right in there. And we're going to just try and break all this stuff up and get it as loose as possible. Like I said, give the roots the best chance at flourishing and venturing out to pick up nutrients for the tree. And I may even take more wood chips as we run around, just to get, our soil is very sandy and has very minimal organic matter in it. So it's not going to hurt to add some wood chips around it. Over time, that'll all fill back in. let's look at this right here. We have our what was existing potting soil right at about 1 inch below ground level, before we cover it all up. All right, so we got our tree in. I want to take note, if we look over here to the left of the tree, you can see I pulled out all the big dirt clods, the stuff that was real clumpy, didn't want to break up. So we've got nice fluffy soil all around the base, in the hole of around our tree. The next thing I want to do is I'm just going to top this off with mulch. This is all mulch that we mulch here on our property, so we know it doesn't have any dye or other chemicals or anything like that. Watch that open. And we're just going to mulch around this tree. This is going to do a couple of things for us. First off, like I said, we have a really sandy soil here in central Texas, so this is going to add a lot of organic matter to our soil. But it's also going to hold moisture for the tree too. So we're out here pretty regularly watering the trees. You notice this tub right here. If you haven't seen our tree irrigation video, go check that out. This is one of our irrigation tubs with a 5/8 hole. We'll place that next to the tree and give it water as needed, even during the dry season. But the mulch is also going to prohibit any other grass growth or anything around that's going to compete with the tree for nutrients or moisture. So anyways, going to be a drip edge. Obviously the mulch needs to stay within the drip edge of the tree. This tree is going to get 12 to 15 foot high and 6 to 8 foot wide. So the next apple tree we're going to place approximately 20 to 25 feet away. It's going to give it a little bit of gap in between. Once again, we noted that these are self-pollinating apple trees, which is an oddity. Most of the time, it requires several apple trees to pollinate each other. So we're going to get y'all in on, I'm not going to film the rest of the digging on the rest of the trees, but I want to talk to y'all a little bit about the native fruit trees that we have here on the property. All right, guys, so I got y'all on a new piece of the property or on the homestead that we just purchased this past year. And one of the neat things about it is that this is a plum orchard. This is actually a stand of wild plum trees right here behind me. It doesn't look like a lot right now because they're dormant going into wintertime. But every year, I bet you I harvest somewhere between 15 to 20 pounds of wild plums off these trees. Amber gets a little mad at me because I eat them faster than she could use them for cooking or baking or making any other pastries or anything else like that. So, but going back to it, yes, these trees, we're going to thin them out this year. Like I said, we just purchased it, so we couldn't do anything with the property before because we didn't actually own it. Now that we own it, we're going to thin them out. We're going to fertilize them, try and get them to produce a little heavier. One of the other things on our homestead is we have about, I'm going to say 40 to 50 pecan trees. And I'll get you a look right over here. These were existing trees on the property before we got here. So we don't have a choice into saying, hey, this is where they're going to go or where we're going to plant them. So there's going to be a few trees that we're going to have to thin out because they're just not in ideal locations. That being said, trees like this that are becoming more and more mature, they're starting to produce pecans for us. Now, these are all native pecans, which means they're not going to be the big, fat, juicy pecans you see in the store. They're going to be a little bit smaller, but they're better, more flavorful, better tasting. So I hope that y'all at least learned something or got to see what we're doing here on the homestead. If y'all like what we're doing, leave us a like, maybe subscribe, share us, ring the bell. We'll see y'all next week.